Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. As a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, well, we would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? Good to have everybody back today.
Great to have everybody back. Let's go ahead and get into it. It's a drink. It's the beard. It's the wisdom.
You know what it is. Let's talk some sports, baby. Let's roll, fellas.
I miss that. I really do. And episode 89, the Thunder force Game 7. Leonard Fournette is forced out, and we revisit the college football situation in the Big Ten. But we'll start tonight with some second-round action in the NBA. The Miami Heat stunned the Milwaukee Bucks, taking Game 1 of their series 115-104. Jimmy Butler sucked 6 straight shots in the last 6 minutes, scoring 15 of Miami's final 20 points, scorching an array of helpless Bucks defenders in the process. The Heat also got 27 points from Goran Dragic and 12 points and 17 rebounds from Bam Adebayo. The Bucks got a hot start from Chris Middleton, but he cooled off in the second, while Giannis struggled to find his shot, couldn't convert from the stripe, and he failed to make an impact late. We recall the Bucks lost Game 1 to the Magic too, but this doesn't feel like sleepwalking. So, Jay, can the Miami Heat do this 3 more times and shock the Eastern Conference playoffs?
Well, no, first of all, to your one of your later points in that wonderful lead-in, this was not a similar thing that we saw in Game 1 of the first round against the Orlando Magic. This was a real performance by the Milwaukee Bucks, even though they came up short. But to your actual question, Miami Heat are perfectly capable of pulling this off 3 more times. If you remember from the regular season, the Heat, I believe, were the only team to have a winning record against the Milwaukee Bucks this year. They took 2 of 3 from them. So this is a problematic matchup for the Milwaukee Bucks, and that's why I said it was paramount that they get their act together quickly against the Magic. And to their credit, they did, but this is a different animal, and it's not going to be as easy recovering from this 1-0 start as it was against the Orlando Magic. And there's a lot to be disappointed in this Game 1 loss, particularly when we've lamented from time to time the need for guys like Chris Middleton to step up for you. Well, Chris Middleton did just fine last night. I mean, anytime you get 28 from Chris Middleton, I think you got to be satisfied for that. Now, you'd like for him to be a bit better in the second half, but he put up 21 points in the first half. You'd like to get more than 7 in the second half. But in the end, when you get 28 on 12 or 24, 4 of 8 from 3, I mean, 50-50 all over the place, you got to be satisfied with that. And Brook Lopez, he gave you 19 in the first half as well, but just 5 in the second half. It was clearly a case. It was a little interesting to where Milwaukee was scorching hot at the start. They led 40-29. It's almost like the layoff from Miami, because if you recall, Miami swept the Pacers. They hadn't played in almost a week when you take into account the 3-day protest layoff thing that occurred. So Miami, it appeared, got off to a bit of a slow start, but then once they got locked in, the Bucks had a considerably more difficult time to score. Giannis was in foul trouble in the first half. He only ends up getting 12 shots up in the game, and yet the Bucks outshoot the Heat from the floor and from 3. They make 16 of 35 from 3. Miami makes 12 for 31. Remember, Miami is I believe they're the second best 3-point shooting team in the NBA this season. So, and we know how Milwaukee plays. They're going to pack the paint, and there's going to be 3 3-point shot opportunities, and that's similar to the way Miami plays. But to get that type of team performance from 3, to have Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez give you just overall great performances, and to still lose this game by double digits, it's a little bit disappointing because, I mean, I think we all question, can we get those type of performances from Middleton and Lopez night in, night out? This is one of those situations where you look at Giannis and what he did, and although I wouldn't classify it as a terrible performance, it simply was not. It was not an MVP performance. It wasn't a he came into this game, he averaged 31 and 16 in that first round series. In the end, it just wasn't good enough. And the biggest culprit, in my estimation, at some point, you have to make free throws. The Milwaukee Bucks lost this game in 2 areas. They lost it at the free throw line, and they lost it on the boards. I mean, you said in the opening, Bam Adebayo got 17 rebounds. The Bucks as a team got 34 rebounds. Brook Lopez had a grand total of 1 rebound. So as prolific as he was offensively, there really wasn't a whole lot going on with his 7 foot. I don't know. I know offensively he tends to hang out the 3-point line these days, but I think defensively it would behoove you to get in the paint and challenge Adebayo on some of these rebounds. I mean, that's something that we just can't excuse. And then the free throw shooting in totality, I mean, Giannis was 4 of 12, but the rest as a team, they were 14 of 26. So they were nothing to write home of that, especially when you could take into account Miami was 25 for 27. So they got beat. They got beat at the free throw line. They got beat on the boards. That can't continue if they want to win this series. And to give some credit to the Miami Heat, I mean, Jimmy Butler, we recognize him as the leader of this team. We know the all-around game that he can bring to the table, averaging on the season about 27 and 7, and he goes off for 40. I mean, that's something that we have to pay some respect to Jimmy Butler and how excellent he is. Also, give some credit to Goran Dragic doing what he does. And one minor note, I know Eric Bledsoe didn't play, but that will be no excuse. You know as well as I do, you know, when Eric Bledsoe puts up 14 points on 5 for 11, I will be jumping for joy, and that isn't even nothing to write home about. But Milwaukee, some of their depth pieces have got to be a bit better. I mean, Pat Connaughton comes out there and plays about 25 minutes. He puts up a grand total of 2 points. You don't get anything from DiVincenzo. Marvin Williams wasn't all that great. I mean, some of their bench guys have got to be better. It's got to be better across the board for Milwaukee. And at some point, some of those rebounding and those loose balls, it's just a matter of Miami outworking them and wanting it a bit more. That's got to improve come game 2.
Before I get into my point, first of all, I want to say, look, hey, Jay, thanks for breaking it down like you do. You and Cody allow me to do what I do, talk my stuff, because, hey, you guys are good at what you do. And with that said, you know what time it is. Hey, you damn skip it that Heat can beat them 3 more times. And this is why. Here's the deal. Like, I was on to Jay earlier, and as I look at this series, right, I look at 2 things. I look at who's the best overall player, or 2, and who I perceive to be the alpha for each team or the alpha of the series. And right now, it's hard for you to tell me that Jimmy Butler is not the alpha. As far as from my perspective, I think Giannis is the best player of both teams, but I think Jimmy Butler is the better leader of both teams. And I think this is the type of team. When you look at how the Heat are put together, it's put together the way you would want to put players around Jimmy Butler. If you look at Jimmy Butler's career, this is how you need to do it. I got to give Pat Riley, the GM, I got to give out, you know what I'm saying? These people, they out here earning their money. You know what I'm saying? They put these guys around. You got the rookie hero. You got, wasn't it, Olynyk. I used to always look at Olynyk and wonder why he was even playing basketball. I'm like, yo, this dude look like he need to have a cult following.
I still do.
Like he still do, but like to me, he has revived his career in Miami. Because when he was with Boston, I just couldn't take him serious other than the armbar that he put on Kevin Love in that one playoff series. Outside of that, you know, I didn't take him serious. But my point is, Miami is so well put together. They're actually one of the few teams that you look at, and then and we talked about this before the playoffs started. They're going to give the Bucks problems. And we're not just saying that because of what they did during the season. It's just because of the way the team is made up. Jay just said it. This was the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA. And people didn't even talk about that during the season. Like, it was like an overlooked thing because we were so enamored with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and, you know, and what's his name, Kendrick Nunn. Speaking of Kendrick Nunn, he's still working his way in. He hasn't even hit, you know, his 6th gear yet. So you look, you say to yourself, okay, well, the Heat can do this to the Bucks without being fully. And I got it. The Bucks weren't a full team either. I'm not trying to make no excuses. I'm just saying this is something to look at when you're watching this series. But to answer your question, they can't do it 3 more times. And listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, Jay made it very, very clear. If Giannis, he can't hit threes, and then he's not gonna make his free throw. I don't want to hear no, all right, well, he went 2 for 5. That's good for Giannis. No, this is a 2-time MVP, baby. This is the defense player of the year. I need more. No, you can't score 18 points in 37 minutes. I don't care what defense they playing. And this is why. Damian Lillard, right, in the last series against the Lakers, it had got to the point where the Lakers said, you know what, we're going to pick Damian Lillard up from the half-court line. And you know what he did? He still was raining threes from the half-court line. So you can't tell me, oh, well, they pick him up and, you know, they got the defense and they're solely focused on him. So he's a 2-time MVP. Will we accept this if there was Steph Curry? I think not. But we could accept it now. And listen, I feel like this. If Giannis does mess around, because I heard this earlier, if Giannis doesn't win this series, if he were to lose this series, we got something to talk about. Grab a seat, because we're going to have to speak. We're going to have to talk about this. Giannis, he might be one of them, I'm going to rack him up in the regular season guys. So I do think that he could beat him. I like Jay said, you got what you got out of Middleton, you got what you got out of Lopez, but if those guys going to ball and Giannis going to score 18, 20 points, let's go ahead and put this series in rice, because it's damaged. He going to go ahead and roll and be waiting. And I asked Jay this earlier. Cody, question for you. Did you hear Jimmy Butler's response to bringing family members into the bubble?
I think he said that he wasn't going to bring any himself, but yeah.
So I was telling Jay, because I found that to be kind of fascinating. They asked him that, and then he said he ain't here for the BS. He don't give a rip about the family thing. He here on a business trip, and that's what it is. But the reason I like that was because he got those younger players to buy into that too. Once I see these young Thundercats out here doing what they're doing, having a good time balling, and Jimmy Butler leadership, that's just the best part. So either way, cut this off. Yes, Miami can do it, and I think this series do go to 7. I think we do decide this series in a game 7 in a pick'em style.
I just jump back in real quick. One of the thing that Milwaukee can't do, and particularly Giannis, is off a game like this where the free throw shooting was absolutely abhorrent. I mean, my God, we're airballing free throws for crying out loud. The one thing you don't want to happen is for Giannis to all of a sudden start being passive and not be aggressive going to the basket because he's scared of going to the free throw line. If that happens, the Bucks are absolutely cooked. I don't anticipate that to happen, but that has got to be a clear message from Mike Budenholzer to Giannis. Don't get passive. Keep playing your game. Get to the rim, and also, I mean, we know what all these teams are doing on Giannis. They're building a wall, trying to wall him off and make it difficult for him to score. So his decision making and his passing has got to be on point. He's got to cut the turnovers down, make good decisions, find the shooters, and they've got to hit shots for him.
Yeah, the biggest thing I took away last night, we'd said it late in the game, was Giannis, if I'm not mistaken, was in fact named the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Pretty lofty awards, I would say. Why on earth was he not on Jimmy Butler late in that game? I'm sorry. You can cut me the smoke and the crap. If you have all those awards in your trophy case and the only person late in that game who was going to take a shot was Jimmy Butler most likely, why are you not switching on him? I don't even care if your coach tells you to. Like, just, hey, yeah, Chris, move, man. I got it. Go on. Like, slap the court, get down in your stance. Like, come on, man. Like this. Like, we all knew what was happening in that game. It's just something, like, and I think what it kind of led into in that fourth quarter and really the second half of the game, Jimmy Butler was, like you said, Drink, he was the alpha in that game, especially the second half. He took over. He took control. Giannis did not look in control. He didn't look confident. He looked timid. He looked indecisive. He drove and just kind of was, like, looking for something to do. Like, he didn't have that feel of I'm the best player on the court in the game, even though he still is. He wasn't in that game. And that can be infectious for both teams because we're like, hey, we got Jimmy Butler. He's doing the thing right now. All right. Whereas Giannis's team didn't really have that kind of feeling because he wasn't doing his thing. And it kind of spread, I think, to the rest of the guys. And that's a problem. Giannis is going to have a whale of a bounce back in game 2. And again, if the Heat are going to sell out like they were, they're going to bring it into the paint. They're going to just make a wall. He's going to have to be smarter with his decision making. But again, like you said, JV, it's foul, man. You got to 4-12. That's no. Like if the Bucks just made their free throws, this game would have went into overtime, or they may have won the game. I mean that was how much it wound up being a difference at the end of the day when you look at the disparity in made free throws. A couple of things. The Heat, my dude Dragic's doing work. We talked about him in the Pacers preview. But I like the way this Miami team built. They're scrappy, and Jimmy Butler fits so well, so well. Fit so much better than they did in Philly because I think these guys are much more ready to be led. Whereas those guys in Philly were kind of like, I mean, Jimmy Butler, whatever, he does his thing. But he just, man, it feels like a match made, So we're going to see.
And to that point about those Miami guys wanting to be led, it's a lot easier when you have young guys that are not elite talents that are, you would classify them as more followers. Not that they can't be leaders one day. But think about in Philadelphia where you got the superstar talents in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Those guys are a little bit – it's not as easy to lead those guys because they're – they've been told their whole lives how great they are. Now you got these young guys in Miami, a lot of them role players. It's a bit easier for a guy like Jimmy Butler for his message to get across. That's one thing I would point out there.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of was getting at. It just feels like a much better fit than he did in Philly. So, good stuff from Miami. And just, we'll see how it plays out. They're doing the work. They're winning the details, and they've got the star that seems to believe right now. So we'll see if
I can't excuse this one last thing on Milwaukee. We give credit to Middleton and Lopez, and we talk about Giannis has got to do more. But other guys, these role players from Milwaukee. Whether it be George Hill, Wesley Matthews, Pat Connaughton, Dante DiVincenzo, Korver was okay, but those guys have to give you a little bit more than they're given or gave in game 1.
Yeah, anything else, Drake?
Oh yeah. So I was gonna say, how I depict game 2, right? I think, and this is what I'm gonna be looking for, is they're gonna try to send Giannis to the line a lot. They're going to make it because, listen, you're going to foul him. You're going to foul him just because the way he plays and the dude take 2 steps from half court and he's at the rim. Like, he's ridiculous. They're going to foul him. I'm very interested in seeing game 2 how he tried to improve his free throw shooting. Not his three-point shooting. That's what it is. But they're going to foul him a lot. So, and I know the referees are going to let him go to the line. So, with that said, if he can make these free throws in game 2, like Jay said earlier, we got a whole different ball game. But be prepared. If you're one of those people that don't like to see a lot of free throws, I would not advise to watch game 2. It's going to be wild because that, to me, that is the best defense that you can use against Giannis, to be perfectly honest. Either make him shoot threes or make him shoot free throws. Like, I got it. It don't make sense. I got it. You don't want to purposely just be fouling people, but Hack a Shack was a thing. Whether you like it or not, it was a thing. And now Giannis, that seemed to be the thing for Giannis. Foul him. Make him earn those free throws. Make him make those. Or make him make threes. But you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to throw that out there, that be ready for a free throw fest in game 2.
Free throw fest game 2 on Wednesday.